Yo, we're live. Welcome to the Diren Kartal show. Okay, guys, welcome to episode 24 of my podcast, and I'm absolutely buzzing today. I've got my main man, Mr. Alex Peters, here again, and I'm extra excited because he's actually my first guest in a studio. And I feel like I'm just in my zone here, man. I'm actually really excited for this episode. First of all, Alex, how you doing? And thank you for coming on again.
Man, Diren, listen, thank you for bringing me on. And just doing this whole setup in the studio. This is my first time, so you've broken my studio virginity,
yes,
if you will. And seeing you in your element, bro, I'm loving it.
For real?
I'm loving it.
Hey,
I can
because
see that.
You've seen me. Well, how long? You've known me since I was in year 6 or year 5?
Yeah,
you knew my sister from year 7 or something.
That's right.
And then you've seen me. Well, you see me kind of grow up, innit?
That's right. And seeing what you've grown, how you've grown, how you developed, and you're doing bits, bruv.
I appreciate it. And for you guys that don't know yet, Alex was actually one of my mentors in school. Not one of my mentors, actually the only mentor, and actually the guy that taught me how to dance. So anyone that sees me moving is thanks to Alex. He taught me body popping, all the skills from Boogaloo Sam. He's the man himself.
The names.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I love talking to Alex, and I really wanted him actually as my first guest in the studio, is simply because we've always been just discussing stuff since I was, I guess, I don't remember, but just always discussing,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
I remember when I would get in trouble. Remember that time I had a fight with Joe Phillips?
I remember.
Every teacher was like, they were getting angry at me. They weren't listening to why I did it or why I was frustrated. And Alex comes in and he discusses. And I think this is one of the things in communities and just people in general, we don't discuss enough. You were there, you were understanding me, and you were listening to me. Therefore, I respected you for that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I think your challenge in school was that you was ahead of your time in the way you thought. So what that means is that you're a kid, you're a young person, but you thought very systematically like an adult. So if it didn't make sense to you, what will happen is you'll process something like an adult, but you'll speak of it like a kid. And then that's a teacher's worst nightmare, because when a kid is speaking logic to an adult, it's almost like, no.
And I obviously didn't know that.
Right.
I obviously just did me, right? And you could obviously see that. So you spoke to me in a way that I would understand, which I think a lot of us actually lack in those people skills to get across a message. Lack of communication skills, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just excited for you to be here. And today we're going to talk about a lot of topics, actually. I've put some notes down, but again, with you, discussion just flows. And one of the things we're going to talk about is kind of like mental health.
Yeah.
We're going to touch up on that a lot. And we're going to start off with actually we're going to talk about one of my friends actually in school that passed away about a month ago now. And it was obviously, which I think was down to mental health issues. And I thought, you know what, we need to discuss this. We need to discuss it in a bit more depth. And I thought Alex is the perfect guy for that. And why don't you tell me a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, so it was brought to my attention through one of his family members. I'd worked with a lot of the members of the family, actually, who had also come through school.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it coming. Admittedly, it wasn't someone that because I came off of Facebook, I didn't have much contact with this particular person, but it was just strange because it kind of was like, not another one. So recently, we've seen a lot of high-profile, famous people killing themselves for whatever reason, and it's quite perplexed because you look at them and you think, but they seem so happy. They seem everything's going for them. What's going wrong? And now we've moved into this space where, if you look at from social media, you'd think we're at a place where we've become more aware. We are posting those things. We are saying, if you need to talk. We're talking about what toxic masculinity might look like.
Yeah.
We're posting things like, it's okay to not be okay, but yet people are still killing themselves.
Yeah.
So what's missing?
I think, what do you think? Do you think it's okay not to be okay, or do you think people just? Because I feel like on social media, like I do a lot of things on social media that I believe that will help someone, make them feel positive, maybe make them smile. And there's times where I post things about saying where I'm not feeling that good, but in essence, from what I've heard from other people, I think my mental health is in a very good place. So sometimes I find it difficult to put myself in their headspace. Now, we're from East London, where I went to school, and where that tragedy happened with Sam. I feel like they never had the opportunity to discuss these things. So therefore, maybe it got to a place where he got stuck and ended up doing what he did. Do you know what I mean? And do you think one of the main reasons is lack of discussion? Or
I think it goes. I mean, you've mentioned East London, and I think, you know, coming from an area like East London, and there's many East Londons around the UK, there is very specific problems and challenges. But I really think that this is actually a society problem. I think it's something. It's a Western problem,
Okay.
but particularly in places like the UK. UK has this whole culture of, in everything they do, it's all about the presentation more than it is about the substance.
Yeah.
So once you get into that sort of culture, you start entering into dangerous ground, because when the exterior is more important than the internal,
Yeah.
you assume everything is okay. So what happens is we become good at playing the okay game,
Yeah.
or we find very rational and logical ways to cope, and they're not actually coping strategies, they're just avoiding strategies. But we don't think about it, so it's the normal, it's what everyone does, so I'm fine with it.
I guess it's like, I mean, that's all we do on social media, isn't it? Well,
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people that I know, I do it a lot. People only see my good days.
Sure.
People only see my best days, and there's been times where I've posted stuff where I'm like, I'm not feeling that good, to maybe make myself a little bit more relatable to my audience, to make them know, hey, I'm having bad days too. But do you feel like a lot of people now are doing it for the sake of doing it, and they don't actually mean it? They're not actually in that position. They're just saying it for maybe attention, for maybe likes, for, I don't know, just maybe negative discussions, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like there's this whole kind of culture towards seeking attention and using the social media platform for that. And I think the crazier thing about this is, because neither is good or bad, it is just is. If
Yeah.
you want to do it for this reason, or if you want to do it for that reason, it's your truth.
Yeah.
I think the danger is when you don't know you're doing it. That's the danger.
Okay.
So it's about understanding why you're doing it. So if you're saying, well, do you know what? This is a superficial space, and I want to be superficial. You're in control, and you're in control. The problem is that we're not in control of what we do. So in the end, you're in this we're playing the role of sheep.
Yeah.
So when we're in a self-destructive path, we don't even realize that we're self-destructing.
Yeah.
Because it's normal.
And do you think, say, maybe not just influencers, people in general, do you think they do that without knowing, without realizing they're doing it?
I think so.
And they're causing more damage than what they actually think.
I think so. So what I'm kind of observing happening is then, so all of a sudden, people with a platform, yes, are leaders. Yes, they have a voice and they have a power of influence. But now all the onus is on the people to speak, and it's almost like, well, how does this work out? Because at the end of the day, like, you've got a very big following on social media, but like, I can't go and start messing around with electrical wires and then electrocute myself and then get upset because you didn't tell me. Like, at what point do I start to have my own brain?
Yeah, I understand what you
just
mean.
I'm saying. So what I'm saying is, I personally think mental health is something that we have to take responsibility for ourselves, but we're not being taught how to do that.
Yeah.
So in the end, you are watching certain people.
Yeah.
Why? Because actually, when you're born, all you've ever done is listen to everyone else, whether that's your teacher,
Yeah.
whether that's your parents,
Yeah.
the news, adverts. There's always been some sort of subliminal programming. So all of a sudden now, social media is just a new version of it.
Yeah, I think like you said, your environment is so important with that sort of stuff, and without even knowing, sometimes and I have these discussions. I sometimes say things that my friends have said,
Right.
and I don't even realize it, and I'm like, and then my face pauses, and I'm like, hold on a second, one of my friends has said that.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying it. Am I saying it because I actually mean that?
Yeah.
Or is it become a habit because I've heard it so many times?
Yeah.
And what you're saying is people not taking action with their own mental health, but comparing it to other people's,
Yes,
say
right.
mine or yours or whatever it is. How would you take control? How would you take control of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, you know, we no one's really doing things like, I mean, I don't think there's no one answer. And again, it's just an opinion, but no one ever teaches us about emotional intelligence. So
Yeah.
when we're talking about mental health, the reason why I think mental health is still a little bit of a taboo subject is because we only see it as crisis management.
Yeah.
So it's okay to not be okay. But whereas But is it okay to just tell your mates if you're just having a bit of a crap day and you're not feeling happy? Like, okay, so we're telling each other it's okay to not be okay, but we would sooner, especially as guys, we'll sooner say we're angry than we're feeling sad and we're feeling hurt.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be that your world is crumbling. It could be just in that moment something's happened and it's made me feel quite powerless. How many of us were prepared to just talk on that level?
True.
You know?
True.
So we're expected to talk in crisis, but we can't speak at a normal balance
before
day.
that.
Yeah.
And you're saying, do you reckon people have, I guess not everyone has the emotional intelligence to pick up on that. Whereas I might pick up on it. I'll say my close friends. I'll say James and some of the other boys. I know when James is having a bad day. I can pick up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone else can.
Sure.
Certain things he'll say or certain things he'll do. Maybe on social media, he'll post something, and I'll be like, "Yo, what's going on, bro?"
Yeah, yeah.
Or I'll do something, or I've done something, and he'll message me. He'll be like, "Yo, what's happening? You good? Yeah, let me know. You know I'm here." Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because I think I've got the emotional intelligence to pick up on that action that I've done.
That's right.
In a weird way,
Yeah.
I'm crying for help a little bit because I want a bit of that attention. And I feel like as individuals, we're so selfish in a way, which isn't entirely a bad thing, but sometimes we don't stop and look at the people around us. So therefore, we don't pick up on it because we choose not to acknowledge it. Because you don't want to deal with negativity, do you?
That's right.
You don't want to, like, I've got enough problems, bro. The last thing I want to do is also deal with yours as well. And that's why I think that sort of mentality, sometimes we have to stop, especially with our close family and friends, which I'm very thankful to have, is I've always got people checking up on me. But I don't think a lot of people have that. Sam, for example, I don't know how close he was with his family and stuff. The last time I saw him was in year 11, but he probably didn't have that. I don't know if he's got a girlfriend or whatever. Maybe they didn't pick up on that. Maybe he was crying for help, but no one actually saw it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you can talk about it from the individual, but I think actually it's a wider spread problem than that. So there's different levels to it. So the first level in my head is just very basic understanding of emotional intelligence at a very basic level, being able to name your mind states from your positives to your negatives.
Yeah.
But then there's also another side of it, that the fact that we're living in a society where we only celebrate achievement. We don't celebrate journey. So all of a sudden, even though you might be telling someone it's okay to be okay,
Yeah.
but the reality is the world that I live in only celebrates achievement. So actually, it's not actually what this message is telling me is that I can only make money and have an okay life when I've achieved.
Yeah.
So straight away, there's a counterbalance. Which one are you going to go for? The one that's going to allow you to live, earn, and move forward, because value is in currency, value is in materialism.
Yeah.
So I do feel like what you're having now is this new emerging message, which is positive in its isolation, but in the bigger picture, it's not fitting. So people are having to make a decision. Do I embrace this truth or do I embrace this truth? Or if I embrace both truths, how does it look like? And no one's really having those sorts of conversations. It's either statistics or it's just kind of good intention comments.
You know what? The whole statistics thing, that's one thing sometimes drives me a bit crazy when I'm having a conversation with someone and they're like, well, the statistics shows. I'm like, bruv, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear about your statistics, bro.
Yeah.
I talk to people every day.
Yeah.
You go read your statistics and I'll go talk to the person one-on-one. And that's the difference between some people.
Yeah.
Well, statistics shows this. I'm like, bro, you can say whatever you want about any statistics, whether it's strength and conditioning, whether it's to grow muscle, to drop your calories, mental health, whatever it is. If you don't talk to people and you don't build your emotional intelligence, then you're never truly going to understand. Because at the end of the day, we only communicate with humans, with whatever we do, work, whatever it is. We only communicate with humans. You don't, like, I ain't no dog whisperer.
Yeah.
You don't see me having a conversation with a dog. I know some dog people going to be like, Darren, I have a conversation with my dog. Yeah, but you know what I'm trying to say.
No judgment.
Yeah, no judgment. Especially if you've got 10 cats, it's all good. But like, I feel like people forget that with any work that you do, anything that you do in life, there is going to be a level of connection with another human. So I think it's important to grow and upskill those people skills. How would you say is a good way to upskill when it comes to people skills if you're somebody that has anxiety, is a little bit shy, is not great with conversation? Because for some people it's not easy. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
So what would you say to someone that is in a position where they're quite shy to talk to people?
That's a hard one, because I do feel like especially going on the personal journey that I'm going on in my own personal development, every individual every person's story is different. There is no one route, one truth. So the truth for me will not be the truth for the next person who may on the outside have similar attributes to me.
Yeah.
I think it's first of all about, but what I will say is I think one of the things that's I would say is common with everyone's personal development journey is acceptance of your reality.
Yeah.
And understanding the external story, but then understanding your internal story. If people take time to understand where they're at, then you will know what you need to do. So put it this way, two black guys sitting here. One person loves sitting in the sun. The other person doesn't like sitting in the sun too much. The person that likes to sit in the sun doesn't need to wait for the next person to decide whether it's time to go inside and cool off.
Yeah.
Once you learn and to start understanding and listening to your body and start listening, you'll know what you need to do. So I think it's more about encouraging people to really understand their internal voice.
Yeah, okay. It's funny you say that, because like it took me a while to be a bit more like that, because I feel like sometimes I do care about other people a lot, right? So in my head, in that situation, I could think about like, oh, maybe they're going inside because they don't feel well, so I'm going to go too.
Right.
In an essence where
There
like,
yeah.
I'm going to go to check up on them maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not going to stay out here because, and this is such a common thing with couples. Like,
Yeah.
This happens all the time. People do things to make other people happy. I've been there. And I'm not going to lie, it's pretty shit. And only when you realise, when you take control of what you want to do and how you feel, you actually kind of create a tribe of people that are in the same mentality as you. And I think that's why, like you said, you need to be kind of doing what you feel internally. And I think that's why, like, I feel like sometimes, and I don't want to come across as a prick to any of my friends that I went to school with or any people that I worked with before, but sometimes I feel like I've outgrown some of my friends in a weird way.
Absolutely.
And it's like sometimes hard to accept that, because I feel like I've come across as a prick, and I don't want to come across rude to them.
But it's crazy, because it's funny that you say that, because all of a sudden now, so there you go, you've grown, you've learnt some new things, and now you're feeling guilty for your growth.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody else hasn't done the work, but you're feeling guilty because they haven't done the work. Yeah. And this is the thing, like, why should that be the case? Like, we're all here to grow and expand. We're all here to move forward in life. Nothing is the same. Yeah. So you've done that. You've faced certain fears, and I'm sure you've probably got lots more fears to face.
Oh, loads.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm exactly the same. I think, do you know what? It's just about, because again, it's not about necessarily having the answers. I think sometimes people will feel like, well, if you're saying this, why don't you have the... It's not about the answers. It's just about starting to have the conversation, starting to have the dialogue, and starting to think about things that we're doing. So, example, when we're speaking about our guy who, sadly killed himself a month ago, and I was talking to some other young people who were in and about the same year group as you, probably a bit older. Yeah. And one person, I said to him, when's the last time that you've had a conversation with your friends which involved just talking about how they felt?
Hey.
And then he realised...
Did he pause?
Yeah, there was a pause, and he goes, actually, I realised we don't.
We don't, yeah.
And so I said, well, there you go. I said, what happens is when you start looking at the relationships around you, you realise that most of the relationships that we have only exist in a certain context. And when taken out of that context, there's nothing going on, which is why certain people, when a certain friend is in a low space, everyone avoids them, and then that friend feels hurt because they feel like, well, no one was around. It's not that they don't care, it's they don't know how to deal with you in this space because they've only embraced you in this particular format. And actually what you're saying is, you're my mate, but actually you're only my mate
because of
when
this.
You look like this. When you become this, I'll talk to you next week. It's that kind of culture.
Yeah, and you're right, we do avoid a lot of that. And funny thing, I was... when I was away with some of the boys, I met Paul Lima, my boy Ali, Sven was there, Jay
I feel like I know these people, although I've only seen them on the stories.
I
feel like I know them. What's up, guys? What's going on?
Exactly. But like, and with them, it's funny because we have such a laugh. And I do a ton of stupid shit online. So does Paul Lima. We all do. And when we're out, we talk so much shit about each other. It's ridiculous. We hunt our deepest insecurities and we banter about them.
How does that work? Because I remember you touched on this before.
Yeah, I was like, 'cause, for example, it would be like something I probably wouldn't want to talk about, but the boys know it, but they know it's a safe circle.
Right.
Paul Lima has this percentage of banter levels for like 60%, 70%.
Okay.
Like, for example, if we're in front of a load of girls, you wouldn't go 90% banter. You wouldn't talk like that to your boy in front of other people.
Right.
But when it's just us, a safe circle where no matter what they say, you're not going to get judged, right? And we will rip into each other, absolute bits. But then we will also have these deep conversations on how we actually add value to each other and how we actually feel. And although we banter about some of the things that you might actually be sad about, it's actually, in a weird way, a way of my friend saying, hey, Diren, I've acknowledged that. I care about that. I'm going to banter you about it so you see the bright side of it. But then when we're in the bedroom before we go to bed, I'll probably bring it up and I'll talk to you about it. And that's what usually happens.
So when you say talk to you about it, what does that conversation look like?
It's a bit like, hey, you know I was bantering, yeah?
Right.
Yeah, I know, I hear you, sort of thing. And then it will follow up with probably another question. And then the conversation gets a little bit serious. And then you realise, oh, that person actually cares about how I feel. And the minute I feel comfortable in an environment, I can open up about that topic that I'm not comfortable about in front of other people. And I think people struggle to understand on where to have these conversations. For example, if I was going to talk to you about something private, I'm not going to do it in front of 5 people I don't know. I'm going to make sure you're comfortable. Just like when I chat up a girl. I'm not going to put the pressure on.
Put the bomb straight in there.
The womb. Hey, come here. Not
hey,
like,
ting, where you say.
I'll wait for a nice time in an environment where she's comfortable having a conversation, where she's comfortable in saying, I'd love to go for a drink with you, without the judgment of other people around her. Do you know what I mean? And I would put that person I care about in an environment where they can talk comfortably. Whereas some people, like you said, you know, when you said people don't ask about how they're actually feeling and stuff, they might be like, oh, so what happened with your ex? In front of 3 other people. And he's like, no, it's all good. So he's just gone, it's okay, I don't want to talk about it. But really inside he's like, fuck, why do you just ask me that here, bro?
Yeah, of course.
Why haven't you got the emotional intelligence to ask me that in a room when it's just you and me, bro? He's angry. The other guy now thinks he's done his job. So he's now brushed it off because he thinks, I've done my job now. He's okay. He said he's okay. And if he brings it up, I asked him and he said he was okay about it. And then it gets brushed off and the problem is never solved. It's never spoken about and it's kind of just sitting there without it being solved and still have these weird feelings about it. When really, what's that saying when you're like, a problem shared?
It's a problem halved.
Yeah.
Problem shared is a problem halved. Yeah, that's the one.
And it's weird. It's true. But what do you think?
Okay, so let me ask you a question on that because that's interesting. Do you find then that let's just say you're trying to, you see your mate's not on the ball.
Yeah.
And you want to talk to him, but he's avoiding. I mean, how would you deal with that, or what would you feel is the best way to deal with that?
I think the best way to deal with that is just being there sometimes, doing things in environments stuff that he likes. For example, I'm like, hey bro, you want to go jiu-jitsu? Let's train. Let's do some jits. Let's train. Let's go to the gym. Do this, do that. Conversations would naturally occur.
Sure.
Conversations would naturally occur and conversations would naturally come out. And I think without even you saying anything, something might come out.
Sure. Because
I think sometimes when people think this person has spent 3 hours with me over the last week, which when you think about it, 3 hours is a long time with an individual, with your friends, in conversation, you might think he's actually here for me. Maybe he's someone I should bring this up with.
Sure. That's interesting. I think just building on from that, I think it's something about being comfortable to be able to name and point out. So one of the things that I'm really grateful about the people around me is that there's an element of accountability. Yeah. First of all, where people like, you said you were going to do this. What happened? You didn't do this. But
that's everything.
Do you know what I'm saying? But there's another level of. So I'll give you an example. I remember I was talking to a lad that I mentor through dance, and what must have happened was last year, one of our crew members passed away. He's a second crew member from our group to pass. Just sudden, mad. Anyway,
Carlos.
Yeah, Carlos.
Carlos.
Yes. And one of the lads that I know, he's a friend of mine, but someone that I've mentored especially in his younger days. Yeah. And he called me up and he wanted to ask me some particular questions. and I wasn't in that headspace. So I said to him, look, it's a bit of a weird time at the moment. This has just happened, so I'm not really thinking about other
Anything
things.
else, yeah.
And he just completely ignored that, and I was like, okay. And he said, because I wanted to talk about this, but okay, we'll speak another time. So we did, and we spoke a few days later on, and he called me back, and I said, just wanted to say, did you realise that when I said da 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 da, you actually did this, this, and this? And so what I'm saying is, I think there's something about being able to point out certain behaviour, because again, especially as guys, but I think this is true of everyone.
Yeah.
We are great. We are connoisseurs at avoidance.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like, look, I noticed that time that we tried to speak and you really didn't want to speak to me. I just want to know, is everything okay? Like, and it doesn't have to go any further. It might be that person resists, but just your willingness to go there and prod and say,
yes,
yeah, I noticed that you've been doing this and you were snappy. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And you back off.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes in helping to change a culture, it's equally about the person being able to talk about what's going on, but also about your friend. Because people often say, what can I do to help? I think it's about, as a friend, being comfortable to highlight certain behaviours, highlight certain actions, say, okay, I'm noticing this, what's going on?
Yeah.
But then if you don't get no results, don't say it as a loss. Just, that's your way of saying, just so you know, I'm willing to talk about it when you're willing to go there with me.
Yeah, and that is something that doesn't happen enough.
Right.
Like, my friend circle, we all keep each other accountable. We've got group chats, whatever. We'll banter each other, be like, hey, yo, Ali, your content is shit this week. What's going on, bro? He knows it's coming from a place of care.
Yeah.
He puts work on it. He's more accountable now to do something because he knows we're watching.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it's important to have those friend circles.
Yes.
And it's important to always touch base. And now, because of my friend circles, I know they have that from me and through other people. But like you said, when you chat to a lot of other people, I know so many people that do not have that at all. Like nothing.
Just banter level.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then avoidance. Bam.
Yeah.
Avoid. And then you wonder where it goes wrong. Like, bro, there's a problem. You need to fix it and move on. If you don't fix it, it's always going to occur for a while. Unless you don't want to fix it. And I don't know.
So then my question then is, why do we avoid? I think, so we recognise, because this is the thing. When you talk to people, people recognise that there is an avoidance culture that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it even at a political level, everything is all about certain wording. When you ask a question, the person's thinking 3 times before they open their mouth because they want the words to be right. The way they've got their hands is all with this presentation.
Yeah.
But the content is rubbish.
Yeah.
And so what are we, I guess the question I would present, and I have my own answer, but I don't know, what are people afraid of to go there?
I think people lack courage of having that discussion.
But why?
Because the fear of that discussion, how it's going to end up. So, for example, if I build the courage to ask you something maybe I haven't spoken to you about, I've got fear of how you might respond. Now, luckily, I don't have that fear. Sometimes I say really stupid shit, and the other person might have an opinion on me. Whereas, luckily, I'm not too fast. Whereas some other people will be like, "Fuck, I've just risked my friendship. I've had the courage to go say something." And it's deflected differently, and now I've got jab, cross on my face.
Yeah.
And now I've ruined that friendship because I brought this up. I'm never doing this again. Fuck. Courage is gone.
Yeah.
Now they're like, I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like it takes like, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm no fucking expert with all this stuff. But
But none of us are.
Yeah, but I feel like maybe building or having some level of people skills, emotional intelligence, and then asking to the right person at the right time, then you won't have that issue. But I think people don't have that level. It's just like 0 to 100.
So do you know what? Okay, so it's interesting. So do you know one of the things I've taken away from some of the people that I've had a chance to meet and learn some stuff? We have this addiction to positivity.
Yeah.
And that means that we always want to avoid negative situations at all costs, even if it's to our detriment. So we want to be seen in a positive way. We want to be seen in a particular way, and we will do whatever it takes, even if it means having a fake persona.
Yeah.
And if I speak for myself, so one of the things, I mean, I've been working with, I would say a life coach, a spiritual teacher, I'd probably say.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've definitely learned about myself is over the years is we're born with our own demons and our own fears and our own perceptions that sometimes are not always accurate.
Yeah.
But what happens is we then adopt them and make them who we are. And so they're lies, but we make them our truths, and then we create behaviors to suit that.
You lie so much it becomes a reality, innit?
150%. 150%.
You lie so much you become it, yeah.
That is so right. I mean, it's the, I mean, I could say more. I don't want to start like just causing all kinds of controversy.
No, bro, say what you need to say, man. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, well, the point that I'm really making from it is that we don't even realize when we've entered into this fake world.
Yeah.
We become addicted to just positive. So that what happens is, and this is one of the things I learned about myself, is that whenever I did something that was perceived as wrong, I then saw myself as a bad person. I'm horrible. That must mean A, B, C, D, and then my mindset starts whirling in this direction.
Yeah.
So because I don't want to experience that, I'm going to continue doing this, and this, and this. But then doing this, and this might compromise my truth and moving something forward. So for example, I might see that you're struggling, but I ain't got the skills to come through and just say, Diren, what's up? Because Diren might get defensive, and then he's going to think I'm a bad person. And then all of a sudden, I'm avoiding you, not because of you, but I'm avoiding you because of my own personal vulnerabilities that I don't understand about.
Yeah.
So this is why it goes back to what we said at the beginning. It's all about every man for themselves. And what I mean by not every man for himself is if everybody was taught how to understand who you are as a person, then you'd be able to make decisions that first look at yourself and your own well-being, but then you then know how to help others and understand it. If I said something to you and it pushed your buttons, as long as it's coming from a place where I actually want to help, then I can say, okay, Diren, you need to work this one out. I didn't mean to offend you, but you need to work this one out. Right.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like when I met you earlier in Covent Garden, you stopped and you went, how are you?
Yeah.
But like, you looked into my soul when you said that. Bro, I was like, shit, my boxers just came off. I was like, Alex, the way he asked that, it's like my heart rate dropped a little bit. Like, oh shit. Yeah. And I paused, and I think I had my phone in my hand, and I put it down, and I was like, he asked me because he actually cared, and I could see that through your body language and the way you said it and the way you looked at me. Yeah. And I told you.
Yeah.
Because I could see that.
At first, there was a bit of fumbling. At first, you were working out what's going. I can see that. Yeah,
I'm good, and because you said that, because you came in and you said a few things about what you've been doing, and then you were like, "Sorry, hold on, how are you?" And that means a lot to me, and I think not enough people do that.
You don't check in like that.
And when you asked me, like, I'm good now, but when the whole isolation thing happened, and before I travelled for a bit, I wasn't in the best place. Like my head, I was like, I didn't realise how much I loved my freedom. And I've seen a few people in Spain, Turkey, cousins and whatever, and the way you asked me was more caring than some of my family members.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Not my mum, my sister, my dad and stuff, but like some other people, they didn't actually stop and go, how are you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wasn't in the best place. And luckily, so when the doors opened, I just ducked out, man. I went to Spain straight away. And then I didn't realise how much travelling actually helped my mind and made me feel free. Now, you've done a lot of travelling yourself, right? You've done America.
I've done America,
everywhere,
Europe.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing workshops or just, I've been a lot, and especially even in England, I've had a chance to just go up and down and spend quality time in different parts of the country.
I'm going to also drop here for you a little bit more detail about Alex. Although we're discussing and stuff, Alex taught diversity. He's taught all over Europe. He's worked with some top dog dancers and old school UK body popping champion, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's not just some street dancer, you get me?
I'm not one of them that just do in the bedroom and try and do a TikTok video.
Yeah, man calls up Ashley Banjos and gets him to do like pops and stuff,
something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, man, but listen, Diren, we need to, like I said, we've been saying this, I'm saying this on camera now.
Yeah, okay.
We need to do a little routine together to let them know what happened in those days.
Let them know what time it is.
Yeah.
The walkout and that.
They need to know. They need to know, man.
But you travelled a lot when you were teaching, and you travelled a lot when you wanted to meet people and whatnot. How did that help you?
Oh, man, so much. I think the biggest thing is it... So when I was working in Royal Docks, which is a school where you was at, and I learned a lot. I was coming off of the back of depression.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had. So
How old were you there?
So I joined Roll Docs when I was 21. So my late teens, from my mid to my late teens, I was going through a depression, but it was weird. You rationalize it because back then you didn't even speak about those things.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know it was depression. I thought depression was something that was over there.
Yeah.
Till it was only a couple of years in when someone actually said, I was like, and it was horrible to think, how could I have ever
been depressed?
Yeah, because I've always had a vision that I was going to do something amazing.
Yeah.
What's this? Anyway, that happened for quite a while. I was coming out of that phase, but I think I was probably still healing myself.
Okay.
So actually working at the school was a massive healer. I always say this to the young people. I say thank you. When they all say thank you to me, I say thank you because actually I was learning about myself through you silently. Because I never really openly admitted that I was suffering from this.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know that. And I thought I know you quite well, and I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, again, the environment at the time, you just didn't talk about it openly.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I studied in silence.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to the young people as they're speaking to me. That was probably a big part of the motivation to why I was so open and why I got such a good response from the kids. Because actually, yes, I do care. But
you understood.
But I'm learning as well.
Yeah.
The deeper I go, I'm actually deep down making notes and thinking, okay, that sounds like me.
Yeah.
Or that sound like how I was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But anyway, to answer your question, so I think when I was working at World Docs, I was beginning to realise my power, my influence, and who I could be.
Yeah.
I started to dream. In fact, I had the dreams that I had as a kid. Something happened during my depression stages. I lost sight of that.
Yeah.
I somehow started to get back into touch with it in my 20s.
Yeah.
But then when I left Roll Docs, I left at the time when I was at the height of my popularity in the school, if you will. Meeting all these young people everywhere, not just young people now, adults, and traveling to all these countries and having a similar impact that I was getting at Roll Docs over the 6 years I was there, I was starting to realize, okay, who am I really?
Yeah.
So I would say it was beginning to open me up to start to realize who I could potentially be.
Yeah.
And it also made me realize, actually, I am interested in people. I love understanding culture. I have this ability to want to understand this person's trail of thought process and connect the dots with that person and see how they're different.
That's like me, That's why I love traveling. When you talk to people, when you talk to locals, you understand why he said that.
Yeah.
Like you'll chat to someone in, say, Poland.
Yes.
And you'll chat to a Polish guy in East London, and he says something to you, you connect the dots and go, that's why he said it. I know why he said it. I know why he said it. But people that don't travel or don't take the time to go and talk to people, they don't see that.
Yes. It's a taking the time because there's a lot of people that do travel, but like, again, you just go to your 3-star hotel, stay in your thing, get your English breakfast in your hotel.
3-star, big man, yeah? What? What's going on, big man? We need to go on a trip, big man.
Why is man help me up in here, bro?
Sorry, bro. Yeah, you dropped the 3-star with confidence.
Mental health. Mental health, man. Don't do this. No, you're going to start putting...
Hey, don't worry, big man. We're going to dinner. We're going for drinks.
Right, sort me out.
I got you.
Put me up in here, man. Damn. Yeah. Sorry, people. Sorry about that.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I just had to. You know what I mean? That's the banter. You just got to give it when it's there.
You got to do it, yeah. No, just come in there.
And that's what happens in East London. You know, when you're in school.
Quick shank and you just move out of the way, yeah.
In and out.
You see that? Okay, I see you.
Sorry, my bad.
That's good. The people just stay in a hotel, just eat the English breakfast, and just so then they're not really, you're traveling, but you're not really checking people.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a different one. It's when you go out and venture and chat to them.
Yeah. What did you think of? You've done a lot in America.
Yeah.
What about America? How do you feel about America? Because America right now is a bit mad, isn't it?
Oh man. Well, do you know it's funny? So I've made 21 trips to America. It was over the time. And
you got family in New York?
Family in New York and Atlanta.
Yeah, okay.
And then obviously when I had my dance trips going to LA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was. Do you remember when Hurricane Katrina happened in New Orleans, and then there was that whole thing about racism and the neglect?
Yeah.
So that particular year, I took off from JFK back to London.
Yeah.
The day it was happening.
Okay.
So that whole narrative around racism hadn't hit the media yet. But that particular trip now, obviously the weather wasn't too great. But I remember that particular visit to New York, we had to pick up our cousin who was studying at Washington University.
Yeah.
So from New York, it's a 6-hour drive. You go through New Jersey, West Virginia, and then you hit Washington.
Sick, yeah.
And I remember doing the observations and driving through white neighborhoods and seeing a certain quality, and then going through Latino and black areas and seeing a completely different one. When I got to Washington, and I saw the street leading up to the White House, and just seeing all the houses battered and all these black homeless people on the road. But at the end of the road is a White House. I remember.
Really? I don't know.
150%. I was shocked. I was horrified.
To be fair, when I first went to New York, I didn't realize how many homeless people there were.
Yeah, well,
Like,
LA's worse.
America is always painted as this, the best country in the world, this and that. But you don't realize, you go there and it's like, oh, it's pretty fucked. We're quite lucky. We're very lucky in the UK. I think I am anyway. I'm glad my parents came here instead of going to the States, you know?
I mean, London is, I would say, starting to, it seems like it would appear to be following behind America's footstep. But yeah, whatever you saw in New York, LA was even 3 times worse, homeless-wise. And I was horrified. So anyway, that particular trip, I remember I said to my cousin, cuz, this is making me want to ask some serious questions. And he just looked at me to kind of say, I know. So it was almost like our eyes was like, you know, because it was almost like I'm seeing this. And even at that time, this conversation, at least as a tourist, racial inequality wasn't there. But that was the only conclusion I can draw up.
Yeah. Because that's the only thing you're seeing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Coupled with the fact that in New York, as a kid, New York was always been branded as the melting pot. But when I got there, I was like, no, it's a pot. It just hasn't melted because Polish are here, Jewish are there, Africans are there,
the Irish
Italians. Are there, and you know what I mean. And it's very specific. In some of those areas, you go there and you don't even feel like you should even be there.
Yeah.
Whereas in England, it's not. It's more about social classes than it is about colour of skin. There's no real black area. It's more if you're working class and you're from the ends.
You're from the ends.
Yeah.
I talk like you talk like me.
There you go.
And then maybe we won't talk like the person from Surrey or
there
whatever
you go.
it is. Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? And so like it was interesting that happened on that trip, and then how Katrina kicked off, and that's when I think it was the first point where openly those narratives around US and racism was starting to kick off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean the first episode we did with you, we spoke about the Black Lives Matter, right?
Yeah.
And that was a madness.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that, bruv. Even though I was stuck in my room doing it with you.
I know, but it's good. Like it's good to have those discussions, man. And it was funny. Like you got a few emails about that. You got a few people message you about that because we spoke about people not being comfortable saying certain things because they might come across racist or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you got a couple of people hit you up.
110%.
Positive feedback or
absolutely positive. People were saying thank you for offering some sort of clarity to about things, and now that they were going to go away and do some research on things, or people wanted to ask my opinion. And I think if I tie that up to what we've been talking about, I would say this is along the same lines of mental health. We are not talking.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. So, for example, people don't want to talk about racism or racial identity or have your opinions because you don't want to be seen to be something.
Yeah.
So in the end, it becomes more problematic. You know, people are more worried about being seen to do something as opposed to the actual behaviour, which is actually more destructive.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's getting back to a place where I although someone might say, well, how could you put mental health and racism in the same place? I think it's coming from the same fear.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And when you don't visit it, it manifests.
Yeah.
And so racism, when you not discuss it, it manifests. We have all these different grievances, different communities are saying their piece. And at first you can look and think, how ignorant can you be? But actually, there's logic, but we just need to go there and sort it out. Discuss it. Yeah. And not feel afraid to be potentially judged.
Yeah. When you said America is like, well, I haven't travelled ever, but I'm assuming America is probably the worst, like when it comes to that sort of stuff. And you said we're heading that way just a second ago.
I think so.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, I think England's always been a place where I'll go back. So I've got a friend of mine that lives in LA. Shout out to Emmanuel, actually. I love talking to, me and Emmanuel go back, but I love talking to him because, like us, he's extremely observant and sees trends and stuff. And one of the things he said to me when I spoke to him about how I just couldn't get my head right, it took me six visits to begin to understand LA.
Okay.
Because I would go there because my dance teachers lived there, but if they weren't living there, I weren't going to LA.
Okay.
But anyway, he said Americans are the best at branding. They're the kings of branding in the world.
Yeah.
And he says any trends that you see, it starts in LA. And then it spreads around the world.
Yeah.
Because any creative heads, wherever they are in the world, they go there, they discuss.
LA's the hot spot.
It's the hot spot.
It's the hot spot.
And so I think we've always had this culture of kind of being in American shadow. I think it's changing, but we still, at least politically, we're still right in that zone.
Yeah.
Musically, it was like that for a while, but then I think through grime particularly,
Yeah.
they made a statement of really doing their own thing.
Like, coming from the UK, doing our own thing. Yeah,
But
because even
essentially-
like Drake and that, they're coming and showing mad love. I reckon Drake's getting more creative after chatting to the boys in London.
Well, the thing is, this is the madness. So musically, there's always been a huge relationship. So this thing, 80s pop music, Americans love.
Yeah.
They respect Phil Collins. They respect Eric Clapton and all those. A lot of those guitarists of that stage, George Harrison's,
Yeah.
they were watching black jazz musicians who weren't really doing anything because no one was really giving them attention.
Yeah.
So they played their music, got commercial. People said, "Where did he learn from?" They said, "These guys, who are they? They're from your country." So England and America have always had a relationship.
Yeah.
Pop music wise, Timbaland, actually, when Timbaland first came out of his early music, one of his early influences was the UK trip pop scenes.
Yeah.
So England's always been saying something.
Do you think you find it a bit weird where, like, you know, when you get people that are being mad racist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not open, well, some openly, the ones that are racist,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see them wearing or acting a type of way that has come from black culture. I know, because I'm not. But black people are cool, bruv.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Like you bring. There's a reason all my homies can dance. There's a reason. Like there's that element of coolness and what it is. And there's a lot of things that I've picked up from all my black friends, not just my black friends, all my multicultural friends.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Because that's all I was surrounded by.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
That's all I was surrounded by.
Sure.
And do you find it funny sometimes when you see racist people being racist, but like a lot of things and the way they're acting, what they're wearing, even like, did you watch the Michael Jordan documentary?
I haven't, but I heard it was sick.
I did not realise how much impact Michael Jordan had on people's fashion.
Well, he had the boot.
He's got the Jordans. I knew about the Jordans, but the way he was dressing,
Right.
like the t-shirt, the funky glasses,
Right,
the hat that you got on with the Jordans.
Right.
And I was like, fuck, you know, that's
Wow.
that's what people's wearing now.
No, I didn't even realise.
And that's coming
that,
from a brother.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think people don't see that.
So do you know what? So it goes back to what I said before. When you're not honest with yourself, you create a whole set of behaviours which are not your truest self, but you kind of adopt them.
Yeah.
So
You believe the lie.
Yeah, you believe the lie.
You believe the
So
lie.
what's happening, I believe, is when you're talking to people who would otherwise be labelled as racist, what is actually happening, they have their own personal grievances, but they're not being honest about what their grievances are.
Yeah.
So in the end, they're jumping onto any rationale that kind of makes them look a certain way.
Yeah.
So in the end, they come across as being racist when actually, if you look beyond that, like I remember I was talking to one particular person and he was presenting me with some individual things that he wanted me to read up on.
Yeah.
And I said to him, look, I'll be honest with you, what is your issue? Like, what are you afraid of? And I think I don't even want necessarily. I'm a little bit more cautious about just saying someone is racist, although you can have racist racist values or values based in the systematic racism. Essentially, for a lot of people don't have a sense of their own identity, their own culture.
Yeah.
So therefore, other people pushing theirs is a threat to you.
Yeah.
So you'll just create narratives
Yeah.
and say, "Oh, you're doing this. That's a problem. You're too aggressive. Oh, you're always moaning. But look at this." Because actually, while you can continue to blame, it's something that my teacher sat with me today, and it was like I got a slap up.
Yeah.
She said to me, "While you blame, that's your ego talking, and it's not you.
Okay.
It's something else." And so while you're criticizing other bodies of people, it's like, okay, but what are you saying?
Ego is the enemy, innit?
Well, it can be both.
It can be both.
It can be
I guess.
both.
It can be both. No, I hear what you're saying. What do you think of the? You see the whole madness on social media, like Will Smith, and when they were talking about like the relationships and all of that. That was mad, didn't it? The way
crazy.
people were taking a piss. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like Will Smith is my idol, man.
Yeah.
I want to be the Turkish Will Smith. He's the coolest motherfucker on earth, man.
You might be moving towards it, man.
He raps, he talks, he creates content.
So where's your track? Where's your rapping then?
Fire in the booth, innit? Next time I'll drop a few bars,
a hot
innit?
16, bro.
Two bars and that. But like, he's my idol, and like the way he opened up with his missus or ex-missus now, innit?
Are they not together?
Are they still together?
Because that was 4 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah, it's 4 years ago. So it weren't even. This is the madness, bruv.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So Oh shit! Okay.
So they were revisiting old ground that they never spoke about. What it was is, I think the guy August said something recently in the media that got everyone talking. So they then had to come up and talk about
on it.
But they had worked through this.
They worked through it. That's right. Okay. And do you reckon that the way people's response was like, because people were taking a piss, right?
It's madness.
Taking a piss out of Will Smith in a mad way. Like, how are you gonna let your woman talk to you like that in front of TV and stuff like that? But really, in my head, I was thinking, mate, that takes a lot of fucking strength and willpower to talk openly. And I think he's such an influence on people where you should be discussing these things.
He's a positive alpha male.
Yeah, he is, isn't it? Because he's 1 minute he's I'm going to sound like I'm into him too much, but he's a sexy brother on the side.
Handle the
he's
business, man.
Alpha male.
Yeah.
His physical appearance, he's charismatic, and he's pretty much like everything, right?
And he gives, he serves, he says things that uplifts other people.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The crazy thing with that whole entanglement thing, I was a bit late because I saw people going on about entanglement and Jada Pinkett, and it was about 2 days afterwards. I thought, let me check it out. So I checked it.
But they were making remixes. Mad.
I saw the remixes before I saw the interview.
Yeah, same.
That's why I had to go and
draw
check.
my attention.
Yeah, I had to see what this was all about. Now, when I saw it, I can see the pain in Will's eyes. You can see it was hard for him to do this. So I recognise how much strength to talk about your dirty laundry on camera.
Oh, mate, millions of people.
That's insane. And, both... And even the fact that Jada said entanglement shows that she even found it, even though it's 4 years ago, finds it hard to talk about.
Yeah.
But we didn't see that. We didn't see the incredible power of a couple putting their vulnerability on the table, whether there's cameras or not. They're going there because couples don't even do that without a camera.
That's because we're drawn to negativity. We're drawn to negativity. Anything negative, we're drawn to it. We're like, I want to know more about that.
Which says more about us.
Exactly, which is how fucked we are.
So then now,
so
what happens now is, let's go back to this conversation about mental health and why we're not embracing mental health. But then there's your answers. We are not, we cannot see the power in someone maintaining their well-being by it being open. We don't celebrate it.
Yeah.
We humorize their weaknesses.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why our friend is feeling depressed or why our mate's killing themselves.
But that's because of our insecurities.
There it is.
That's our insecurities. It's just we haven't accepted it yet.
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of
we
people...
don't even know it.
We don't know it.
Yeah.
We don't even know it. And we're acting in a way... We're acting like kids. And a lot of adults, we're acting like kids because we don't have that intelligence to, number one, accept it, to even see what we're doing.
And that's the thing. I'll give you even another example. I remember I saw a clip of Good Morning Britain, and Piers Morgan was interviewing a couple of a black historian and a couple of other people, politicians, some debate, can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
And Piers started off the debate, and then the person came back with saying that he used the term psychosis of whiteness, and what he was trying to say, I knew that term was going to be controversial, but what he was trying to say is that there's the white community in England have a habit of conveniently forgetting certain history.
Okay, yeah.
And basically he used the word psychosis because psychosis is a medical term which just says that you hit a space of delusion, your reality perception. It's what happens. I know some young people in school that had the psychosis in school. We need to take them to hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's an actual thing. But what was interesting is that triggered Piers. It triggered his co-host Suzanne, and I thought that was really interesting because
man being defensive.
Yeah, and the thing is, rather than what he was actually talking about and why he was saying it,
he paid attention to that
psychosis.
One word.
So I'm saying, if your relationship with concept of mental health is that negative, you see it as an insult. How the hell can we embrace mental health when we don't even have a good relationship with the idea of it?
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it forgot the whole message.
It's gone. And then the thing is,
and the way the guy was saying it, he wasn't saying it in like a belittling way or anything like that. He was saying it from like a medical term.
He was not. All he was doing, he was using a title to make his point. So it's almost like saying, it seems like people forget things.
Yeah.
Basically, and then he was about to go on to list why he was saying that, but Pierce stopped him at that point, and then the focus was about psychosis because now you're insulting white people, and I'm like thinking, well, hang on a minute. So psychosis is an insult, but then when someone's actually suffering from psychosis, are you going to laugh at them?
Yeah. So
which one is it?
I bet the papers and that took that to a madness.
Well, I just saw it on YouTube. It never really got discussed.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that we, again, at a micro level, we really have to look at our behaviours at a micro level to say, well, actually, is what we do supports what we post?
Okay, yeah.
Because again, when are we posting it's okay to not be okay? Who are we doing it for? Are we doing it to make us feel like we're doing something productive?
Yeah.
Or are we just doing it to keep up with the trends?
Yeah, one of the fake ones, like going to a fucking what do you call it? You know, the Black Lives Matters, everyone was going...
The protests.
Yeah, the protests, sorry.
Yeah.
The protests and taking pictures. I've done my job. Boom.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, 150% people would have gone to take their photo and gone back home.
Oh, 100%. And even I'll go even more than that, bruv. You got people that are just like posting, wake up, no excuses, read these books. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I get that. But if I think about my teacher, my teacher, Poppin' Taco, is a huge inspiration to me. If I went to America and... I said, Taco, how did you learn to dance like that? I want to be like you. And he goes, read the book over there. And I go back to London. I'm not going to say he's my hero. It's about human connection.
Yeah.
So again, sometimes people just want to be on something, a trend, because it makes them feel good. It's not really about serving the purpose of what it really is. We don't take time to stop and think, you know?
Because a lot of the times, like, people were protesting, obviously they're protesting for a positive impact to make a change.
Of course.
But a lot of people were also not knowing what they're protesting.
Yeah.
They're like not being dragged there, but like they're not actually looking at how this is going to impact or how this is going to help change, or even ask themselves, like, why am I actually here?
Sure.
Like, if you stopped everyone and said, put the mic on them, why are you here?
Yeah, a lot of people can't answer.
A lot of people can't answer. They'll stop. They'll either pause or they'll say something dramatic and aggressive and this. We need to change now. Change needs to happen. Okay, big man. Yeah, change is going to happen, but are you going to tell me how?
Yeah. It's funny because it's twofold, isn't it? Because there's that whole thing of some people, there's just being together.
Yeah.
Some people want to feel like in solidarity along somebody, and I get that. It's important, I think.
Yeah.
But then you're right. Then there is the other side that says, okay, why are you doing this? And what is your contribution to moving forward? Some people just get stuck in the euphoria. So, for example, if you look at, for example, the clapping for NHS, personally, I think the benefits that it brought is it made people on the street feel together. Yeah. Created euphoria in a space of stress. Moving forward, how do you help the NHS? Well, what's clapping on the street really going to do? Yeah. So sometimes people just are happy with just feeling good. Yeah. No real substance behind.
Yeah. But like you said, initially it was good. I did it. My dad, my parents did it. Everyone did it. Mm-hmm. But then week 4, week 5, I'm seeing the streets getting quiet, boy. Yeah. The streets getting quiet. And then if I told you, man, hey, big man, appreciate the applause and that, but we're going to start taking £10 a week off your wages to give to the NHS. Are you good with that? There you go. Man will be like, he'll put his head down and start coughing. I don't know what he's talking. COVID, check his temperature. Oh, I'm feeling ill, sorry. Avoidance, bang, bang, bang. Do you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where, and even like when, the whole racism stuff and people like, why didn't you post that black square and this and that to me? I said, listen, I said, when there is racism in front of me, I stand up there and then. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact there would have been followers of mine that first thought, East London boy, Turkish, whatever, rude boy, this and that. And obviously I have these discussions, but sometimes I hype things on social media, and obviously people that listen to the podcast will know, oh shit, I didn't even know this side of Diren. Sure. Whereas sometimes on socials you hype stuff up to get people's attention. Side,
of course.
Because that's what it's all about. It's a game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get your attention to listen to what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. You know, and what people don't realise is I know a lot of my followers that maybe had an opinion about ethnic people. Maybe they didn't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe had an opinion, but then followed me, listened to what I had to say. I made them love me by just being me. Mm-hmm. And next time they see a Turkish person, and when someone's being racist to a Turkish or a Kurdish person, they're going to be like, well, no, that's not true. Diren's not like that. Mm-hmm. And then naturally you've kind of converted someone to having a more positive outlook on an ethnicity or whatever it is. Sure. Do you know what I mean? Sure. And I think sometimes with the angle of, you should fight against racism or whatever, but if you're trying to educate someone and influence someone to have a more positive outlook on who you are and what you are and where you're from and your culture, you need to be smart. Yeah. You need to be smart. And I feel like not enough of us are doing that. Sure. We're just aggressive straight back. They're not going to listen.
But that's right. You know, we want to have this academic, moral stroke academic approach to it. So he's saying, you should like all Kurdish people, you should like all black people because it's wrong, it's morally wrong.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't really work like that. One thing I've definitely learned about human beings is if you give people a good experience, they'll do what it takes to repeat that experience.
Yeah.
And they'll embody whatever comes in that package.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I'm going to parts of England where a lot of young people and adults have not had a chance to meet black people. I'm giving them an opportunity and I'm giving a good experience. I'm selling myself in a way that's almost like, wow, I really enjoyed this experience. And actually, I came away with knowledge and this person made me safe in this space of learning.
Yeah.
I want to repeat this.
Yeah.
So it's about the experience. It's about the connection. And I think, not that I'm even suggesting that there's a right and wrong way to deal with this, but I do think an important aspect of this process, now that you're speaking about this, is about how we connect and how you, as you've said, you've presented yourself in a way that makes people smile.
Yeah.
So when they have an association with people from your community, that's what they have.
Yeah. And I think that's why I don't have it in me to even have an opinion on someone in a racial way because I've been surrounded by it.
From the get-go.
From the get-go. I don't know any better. Mm-hmm. So when someone, even when I was in Australia, like someone very casually just dropped the word nigger, yeah? And I was like, I closed my eyes and I was like, just took a deep breath. And I was like, you're so fucking stupid. I was like, I was so frustrated, I couldn't speak.
Right, okay. Because if you did, then a whole pile of limits will come out.
I couldn't speak. It frustrated me, and I'm not black, right? I shouldn't be like people might think, why are you getting offended like that? But in my head, I'm like, I'm more offended the fact that you don't understand how that is just wrong. That was frustrating for me, but he doesn't know that.
It's normal in his world.
It's normal.
Yeah.
He's so far from that cultural mix that he doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm like, take a deep breath before you say anything. Think about, is it his fault? Is it not his fault? Is it his parents' fault? Is it his surroundings, his environment, whatever it is? You need to be smart with the angle that you play.
Yes.
Or he's never going to listen.
That's right.
So I took a pause. He goes, what's wrong? I said, bro, nothing's wrong. But when you say words like that, yeah, you need to understand that, number one, my best friends are black. Number two, if you go and say this in London, and I'm saying this for you.
Yeah.
I'm saying this for you.
Your teeth are gone, bro.
Your teeth are gone.
Yeah.
And you're naturally, and if you don't fix this habit, then you're going to have issues with people and close a lot of doors and burn a lot of bridges without you even realizing. And I think, and then he paused and he was like, I hear you. And then I feel like he took a different angle to how he looked at me. And I know he listened.
Amazing.
Do you know what I mean?
Amazing.
Instead of being really casual about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You didn't make him defensive. You made him feel safe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I dropped it to him in a way. I didn't say that. I didn't turn around and go, listen, you fucking idiot, in front of 4 other people. Are you dumb, bruv? You can't say that here. And he would have turned around and gone, what do you mean? Who you calling dumb?
And then the focus would be that.
And then the focus is flipped, just like the whole psychosis thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I feel like when there's more people like us, straight up, talking and discussing, and people find it easier to approach us on these discussions, I think it's going to influence to be better.
100%. And the thing is, like, I mean, again, some people want to do it through posts, through protesting. Some people want to do it through reading books. Some people may just want to have conversations with close friends. I think at the end of the day, everybody's got work to do. And I think this sounds very soft when we say this. It has to be done with compassion. I think I said it to you on the last time in the podcast. It's got to come from compassion. Compassion isn't weak, though.
Yeah.
Compassion is strong. Compassion is knowing what's going on, having the wisdom, and then deciding I'm going to attack this.
Yeah.
It's not about, compassion isn't just tolerating foolishness.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think it's just, we have to. And it's frustrating because when you see, certain foolishness. I mean, I remember, I was in a conversation when someone told me that black people bring nothing more than famine to the world.
What?
Bruv.
How did you keep your cool?
I looked at the guy and I was like, okay, that's, because I know that's not my reality.
Yeah.
It's just not you're trying to insult me passively because you're feeling frustrated. And that's all it is.
Yeah.
But I would only get upset if that was my reality. It's not my reality.
Yeah.
I'm proud of who I am.
That would have got him even more,
Well, I mean, okay. I can see, like, you know what I mean? Like that sort of stuff don't faze me. I
Yeah.
see through it.
Yeah, because you know the truth.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Yeah, so there's no reason for me to get upset.
Yeah, and everyone else that is listening, you know the truth as well. And the truth is, this is the best fucking podcast in the world, yeah?
There you know.
You better subscribe to this, yeah? And you know what? I feel like that's such a good point to end on. I just
Right.
want to say thank you, Alex, for coming on again. I love these discussions with you, man.
Thank you so much,
And
man.
100%, I would love for you to come back on at some point again.
I'm game for that.
And we can talk about other things, what's happening and whatever it is. For you guys that are listening, yeah, subscribe to this. Tell your fucking friends, yeah? And make sure you go check out Alex, all right?
Sickness.
Go check out, and if you want to learn some popping, breakdancing, wherever it is, you know where
Doing
to
that,
find
man.
him.
Yeah, you can learn a
Little bat robot thing. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and I'll catch you. Actually, do you want to add something? Do you want to add anything?
Just want to say, first of all, big yourself up, Diren, for having me on here. I think what you're
Anytime.
doing is tremendous. And yeah, man, you just keep up the charisma, keep serving, keep giving, and keep contributing in the way that you do. And I think if I had to leave something for individuals, it's just about vulnerability. It's about being, what can I do to be more vulnerable is maybe what I should be saying. How can I be more vulnerable, and how can I be more comfortable with being vulnerable and not be afraid of it?
Boom. Hey, mic drop. Some heavy words there. Fire in the booth. No. All right, guys, take it easy, and
Okay.
I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.